Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. I've been using the Fujifilm X100vi for several months now, and I have to say this is the most elusive camera out there. It's like a rare Pokemon card right now because not everyone can get their hands on one. The Fujifilm X100vi, this is the camera that you guys are still waiting for from your pre-orders, and I've been reading around social media that some of you guys got emails from your local retailers and they said that you won't get your cameras until probably this fall, when you put in your pre-order in February, which is freaking wild. And in today's video, I want to share my thoughts on the Fujifilm X100vi. And stick around until the end where I will give you my thoughts whether or not this camera is overhyped. Now, I've owned this camera since April and I've used it for my travels and other stuff that we'll get into in this video. I gotta say, it's a fun camera to use. So without further ado, let's just get So I think this is where the camera lends itself very well to travel photography. So before I left on my Greece trip, I was thinking of bringing the X100vi and the X-T5 with a couple of lenses to change out. But then I thought about my last European summer holiday in Italy, 40 degrees Celsius heat wave, where I brought like a couple of camera systems and I didn't even use all the camera system that I brought with me. So I just thought, let's not make that mistake again. And you know, it's just so hot and you're going to be walking around all day and you know, don't want to be lugging around a heavy camera backpack. I really like how the X100vi is a smaller camera and is more compact than the X-T5 and the Tamron lens. It really made maneuvering around Greece a breeze, and because of that, I enjoyed taking pictures more and I had a lot of fun exploring, you know, Greece because of it. Even with the hand grip and the lens hood attached, I still find that this camera is inconspicuous. I was walking around Athens taking photos of everything. I was walking around the islands of Greece taking photos of everything. Just having like that childlike wonder and curiosity to explore with this camera made it really fun. Now, would I have the same fun using my X-T5 with a zoom lens, walking around in 35 degrees Celsius heat every day? And the answer to that is probably not. The weight of it would have probably wore me out and I would probably not enjoy myself as much because then I would start, you know, complaining about the weight and the size of it. Because of the lightweight size, I was able to take it in the water, although I wouldn't recommend it. I just thought it was really light and I could just maneuver in the shallow end of the water and just take some photos of the wife in the water and not get like arm fatigue. But again, I would exercise caution if you're doing this, or, you know, just don't be an idiot like me and just don't do it at all. So again, I told myself that I was only going to bring the X100vi for the entire trip, and I made the right decision. I was worried that, you know, this camera, the X100vi, being a fixed lens at 23mm, it wasn't going to give me enough reach. And this is where the X100vi's 40 megapixel sensor with its digi teleconverter comes into play. Now, by rotating this focus ring right here, I can punch in from a 35 full frame equivalent to a 50 and as well as a 70mm full frame equivalent. Mind you, you will lose some resolution using this feature on the X100vi, but because of the 40 megapixel sensor, you will still have some decent detail in your image and resolution as well. But just note that this only works for straight out of camera JPEGs. If you do shoot RAW, you will get the full 40 megapixel RAWs in Lightroom to crop in manually. Now, I was using this feature a lot while I was on holiday. I used the 50mm digi teleconverter more than the 70, and I thought the images looked good, and it just felt right for most of the situation, such as photographing the wife, documenting life in the country, shooting street stuff, landscape stuff, just overall travel stuff. Anything that I see with my eyes that piques my interest, I'm capturing it. So using this feature really made it okay with not bringing my X-T5 with a standard zoom lens that I was going to bring. I thought about bringing the X-T5 with the Tamron 17 to 70 f2.8. But the X100vi really did its job here, and I'm going to be honest with you. This was a feature that I didn't think I would use ever because I talked, I spoke about how much I love the 23mm focal length. But for some situation, I just felt that a little more reach was needed. And it's great that the X100VI has this feature handy. So fall is right around the corner, and it's one of my favorite seasons out there. The reason why I love fall so much is because kids are back in school, people are back to work, and everybody just gets productive again, especially me. I feel that fall is where I get most of my content creating done and I kick things into overdrive. Lately, I've been wanting to dive deeper into creating better short form photography content because I believe that short form content is here to stay. And me being an elder millennial, I'm not as skilled at short form content creation as my Gen Z siblings. However, Skillshare has made that so much easier for me. For example, I've been taking a class on how to tell a story with your smartphone that is already helping me with my short form content creation skills. For those of you who may not be familiar, Skillshare is the largest online community for creatives. They offer thousands of classes taught by industry experts in everything from film, photography, and design to entrepreneurship, productivity, and so much more. What's even better is their learning paths, which are created collections of classes designed to help you master a specific skill. It's a great way to stay on track and stay focused on your learning journey. You don't need to go searching for individual classes when it's all there and curated for you. There are a variety of classes available if you guys want to learn more about your camera settings, or if you want to learn more about how to take better portraits or how to edit your raw photos. Skillshare has got you covered. Best part is that Skillshare is offering a 1-month free trial to the first 500 people to use my link in the description. Once again, thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I also used this camera for portraits where I enjoyed it there as well. The size and the handling made it really fun for me. Don't underestimate what a small little camera can do, especially one with as much spec as this one right here. It just feels different to use. Although it has the same guts as the Fujifilm X-T5, the way that the X100VI feels in my hand, how it handles, just makes the shooting experience different, let's say from an X-T5 and an XF 23mm f2 lens. Now, speaking of the 23mm lens, this X100VI has the 23mm f2 inside it. Now, I spoke about why the 23mm or the 35mm full frame equivalent challenges me creatively in another video. So if you want to see that video, I'll leave that in the description below so you can watch it after you finish this video. This 23mm focal length allows me to be creative with composition, and because of that, I enjoy shooting with the Fujifilm X100VI so much. Now, throughout my trip, I made it clear that I was only going to use film recipes on this trip. I didn't want to edit vacation photos. This camera is meant to be more about fun than it is about me, working and really editing photos. What I really enjoyed was the straight out of camera JPEGs. For most of the images I've been sharing in this video, it's been shot with a few recipes that I found online. All these film recipes was saved on my custom bank. The Fujifilm X100VI allows 6 custom banks, and it was all filled. And that was enough to keep me occupied through Greece and London. The colors are great, the film simulations were great. Every time I look at these straight out of camera JPEGs, it just looks so film-like. It looks like a still from a movie. I really love it. The skin tones look great as well. The colors pop, the images were sharp. The bokeh looks okay wide open. If you combine the f2 with its close focusing distance on this camera, you'll get some decent bokeh, but it's not something that I would say is a highlight of this camera. Now, stop down, you're going to see an increase in sharpness. I do feel that this lens on this camera is due for an upgrade. I don't feel that it takes advantage of the 40 megapixel sensor. Now, there's just no scientific testing. This is just anecdotal and how I feel after using the 40 megapixel sensor with the X-T5 and the newer WR lenses, and I feel that this f2 lens attached to the X100VI is not up to par with that. Other than the photos on the Fujifilm X100VI, I really do like the video footage that I got while I was on this trip. The 6.2K videos just looks beautiful. I shot everything on f-log 2, and you know what I really like is the built-in ND filter while shooting video. However, I feel like the 4 stops of ND filter is not enough for video stuff, because I still have to stop down the lens to like f11 to get it properly exposed. Now, if you want to open up your aperture, you're going to need like an additional ND filter attached to the front of the lens. I really like the 4K 60 as well. The video just looks really beautiful. The IBIS is another thing that helps with getting a good looking footage. It keeps the footage looking real steady, so I really do like the implementation of stabilization in the X100VI. But let's talk about some things that I don't like about this camera now that I spent some time with it. If you're shooting photo and video, you're gonna find that the battery life on this camera sucks. If I shoot for photos, it's fine. I'm fine with the square battery. However, once you start adding in video clips here and there, and you start filming these small, high quality clips, then the battery drains really quick. This is why I wasn't so sure about this battery, and I don't understand Fuji's choices sometimes. The newer updated battery started back on the X-T4, and just remember that, because subsequently following the X-T4 was the XH2S, the XH2, the X-T5, and the XS20. All have the new battery with great battery life. And then after that, you got the X100VI with the square battery, and now the X-T5 also has that shitty battery as well. Whatever side you fall on here, you're either going to like the old battery or you're not. So I was filming a lot of 6.2K clips and 4K 60 clips as well, and I noticed that my battery would die maybe like 20 to 30 minutes in. But with photos alone, I can probably shoot like 600 shots during the day, strictly photos though, and I would be fine with the square battery. You know what else pisses off the Fuji community than just adding in old batteries into newer cameras? The lack of cameras that are in stock. People on B&H Photo are giving this camera a 1-star review because their pre-orders from February aren't fulfilled yet. They are still waiting for this camera, which is fucking crazy. That's another L for Fujifilm for not keeping up with demands. And we gotta talk about the autofocusing here. So I tried it on single point. The lens make like this very loud noise, and this is why I think this lens is due for an upgrade. I just think it's just louder than I expected it to be. And when I first heard it for the first time, I just thought, well, this is interesting. The single point autofocus hunts for a bit before it acquires focus, and because of this, you may miss some shots and miss some moments because of that hunting back and forth. Now, don't even get me started on autofocusing continuous as well. It's just not that good. However, I'm going to give this camera a pass in that department because it's a camera that I have fun with. It's a camera that I enjoy using, and it's a camera that I tried to not take too seriously. So I don't mind it at all because all I use is single point autofocusing on this camera, and it gets the job done like, you know, 70% of the time, and I'm okay with that. And I should note that Fujifilm's autofocusing is at the bottom and it's not accurate. When I was shooting portraits, I used eye tracking and I just took a single shot thinking that it will hit the iris. When I reviewed the photo, it nailed the focus on the chest and the shirt area. This is the same thing I've been talking about on my X-T5. It was just one single shot and the model wasn't even moving. She was static. She was sitting on a chair. The back LCD screen said it was on the eye, but for some reason, Fuji just likes to take the piss and gaslight me into thinking that it's gone the eye. So this is something to be aware of. So after 4 months of use, what are my thoughts on this camera? I really enjoyed using this camera. I had fun using this camera. This camera sparked a lot of creativity, which is a great thing for me. When I can have fun, take banger shots, and capture my travels, I'm going to love the camera. It's just as simple as that. This camera, I really enjoy it. However, is this camera overhyped? In my opinion, yes, it is. With all the nice things that I said with this camera, I still find that there are other options that are available right now. Right now, I don't think any X100 cameras are worth the hype. Get like the X-T50 or the XS20 with a couple of lenses, or even get the Ricoh GR3, or get something that is available. From all the supply issues that Fuji has right now, it looks like you guys aren't going to have this camera for a while, so I suggest look into cameras that I've mentioned. However, if you can wait and you're patient, you're going to get a fun, powerful camera. It has a great build, great aesthetics. I really like the way this camera looks. It's such a fun camera to walk around with. It's a fun camera to have as your everyday carry camera. So there you have it. These are my thoughts after using this camera for about like 4 or 5 months now. Now I think this camera is good, but it's really overhyped. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the Fujifilm X100VI? Did yours come in the mail yet? Let me know if you received yours. or let me know if you're still waiting for yours. Consider subscribing for more Fujifilm content. Thanks so much.